everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, this is Coast to Coast, and it is our 500th episode. So for those of you who've been along with us this time, man, thank you. What's happening, guys?
You're welcome.
500
good morning.
episodes. Wow.
500 episodes. Yeah, amazing.
And I feel like I've been here for all of them.
Yeah, dude, quite a few of them.
I may have missed one or two.
Yep.
I missed like
Herb.
1 or
How
200.
are you this morning?
See, he doesn't even know how to react to that.
I am doing well. I am doing well. Your Flyers picked up a tough win over the weekend in overtime, so I'm sure that you are happy this morning, a little bit better. Although the Kraken have lost 2 in a row, so I don't know where this show is going to go this morning. I don't know if we're going to be okay or not.
Yeah, so the Kraken one is a little rough, especially against Ottawa there, where they got smoked. Now they end up putting up 4 goals, but the giving up 7 was that was a rough outing. It was a rough outing.
Right.
Fortunately, I normally I'm in those games, but I had to miss that one. And if there was one to miss, that was it.
Nobody likes it in their game. We always have that debate too. Would you rather see your team lose like a heartbreaker, or be there for the one where it's like, hey, we lost by 3 goals, it was over, I can go home early?
See, but I can't because I cover the game, so I'm there until the post game pressers anyway. So it's not like you can be like, oh yeah, these guys are down 7-1, we can probably roll out. It's I'm here till 11:30 anyway.
See, that would kill me.
Which is good because traffic clears out at that point.
There is no traffic. That is nice. It does make this show a little rough, right? When you're going to bed at midnight and you're up at 4. It's
That sounds like some crying there.
yeah. No, I'm just saying it's the least fun part of the job.
I understand. Actually, truth of the matter is that I didn't want to start with hockey.
But Alabama guy, he got you.
You know us Alabama folks. That's all we do down here is watch some hockey.
Well, no. I want to know, in Alabama, do they care at all about what's happening right now with the World Baseball Classic?
Not really. Like, look, all we have down here is football. Like we don't have any pro anything. So like outside of that, most of us, like people like me, we'll care about the teams where our guys end up at. So after that, it's kind of like, there's one reason why I like doing this show is because I get to kind of stretch out and watch a different stuff and cover a bunch of stuff I don't normally do. Because like on our shows at night, it's just all Alabama stuff.
Well, let me ask this then, because March Madness is about to happen. Do they have a basketball team that's going to be competing?
Yes.
Yeah, they dispatched Auburn pretty good.
Handily, yeah. We are the number 2 seed in the SEC, and we're projected at around a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. But this has been like for the last 5 or 6 years, the coach that we have, Nate Oates, has pretty much had the best run, of Alabama basketball he's had. I don't think maybe after the first year, he hasn't done anything less than a Sweet 16. He's also had an Elite 8 and a Final 4 in that mix. So this is the best stretch of it that we've had.
Okay.
But typically it's like when your football team's doing a little worse, you pay a little bit more attention to basketball. So we really need him at this time. But other than that, yeah. And I'm not speaking for everybody in Alabama, but I'm going to tell you the majority of people, because you don't have a pro team, like you pour everything into the college team. Like there is nothing else. So
yeah, well, no,
think about it. Any pro
that.
teams that, yeah, well, any pro teams that you follow are not going to be in the state, So you're already thinking, like, if I really invest in, the Braves, you're going to be doing a lot of traveling for your games all the time. So
That's fair.
And it makes me wonder, like, because it's like Alabama, is it easier to be like a New Orleans fan? Is it closer to New Orleans than Atlanta?
No, well, I mean, I'm in Birmingham, so you're like 2 hours to Atlanta, losing an hour. East Coast, like 6 hours to New Orleans.
I was going to say, if he was closer to Mobile than Louisiana, would make sense.
Yeah. So it just depends on what part. But again, a lot of people, they take their pro teams come from whoever their parents were, right? Or who was their favorite Alabama player? What team did they end up on? Like I used to root for the Titans for a while when they had Derrick Henry. And then when they're gone, he was gone, I'm like, I don't really care as much anymore. So Philly I love because of Jalen, and Devontae.
Right. I was going to say, so you're an Eagles fan because of those guys.
Yes. I rooted for them. I was rooting for them hard in the Super Bowl because of that kind of stuff. So
Milroe got a ring. Hey, how about that? Another Alabama.
And Robbie Oots, right? Didn't you have like 4 in the end? Josh Jobe.
Yep.
And I'm forgetting one.
Yep.
But that's where a lot of our love comes from.
So some Bama guys on the roster there. Yep.
Yes, sir. So we follow the other sports. It's just not, the same. It's not the same passion. Like when the Eagles lose, you're like, oh, and when the Eagles lose, I was like, oh man, that sucks.
Right. It's not as heartbreaking as when Alabama,
yes,
gets beat
when
by
Alabama, because that's all we have. There is no like, let's recover on Sunday with something else. It's like we got ready the whole week for this. And
so then one of the worst days of your life was when they tried to kick that field goal and Auburn caught it in the end zone.
I wasn't even alive then.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you, like 18?
17 and a half.
I was going to say that didn't happen that long ago.
But out of all the things in our history, that's the one you went with.
Well, no, because I mean, first off, I didn't even realize that Auburn is like the biggest rival of Alabama. So when I think of that now, like I says, I remember that being a big deal, like that they tried to win the game with the field goal at the end of regulation, that they called this mystery timeout to get the 1 second left back on the clock for them to miss the field goal. The guy get it at the end zone end line and run it 109 yards back for a touchdown. That had to really hurt.
I don't even know what play you're talking about. I don't remember that.
But see, I mean, and I also know that, like, hey, since Nick Saban's not there anymore, you guys haven't really won any national championships, right?
Yeah, like in the last 3 years? Like, geez, no, we haven't. It's a tragedy.
Just got a whole dump truck assault to throw in here.
I mean, yeah. At least I'm not an MMA fighter that you repeatedly call old over and over. So it's like, these are always the hard hitting questions for Billy. It's like, I'm not going to call you Mr. Alabama guy, but I'm going to go for your heart anyway.
Well, now I'm just trying to talk about Alabama. Like, I'm trying to become one with that state.
Yeah, so let's bring up all your heart. But like, do I need to be laying down on a couch for this? Is this a therapy session?
This week on Snapped.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to bring up? You want to talk about the day Nick Saban retired too? Is that what we're going to go into that too, or no?
No, because I wasn't a fan of Nick Saban. So, I mean, he was a great coach, and I know that he was able to do amazing things with that college. And, it's a shame. Like, it's a shame that he left the way that he did, and he didn't give the portal any chance. Realistically, as I think about the way that the portal has worked, I think that Nick Saban probably would have done much better than most coaches, because everybody wants to win a championship.
Yeah.
Now, and because he was the coach winning the most championships at that time, there was a piece of me that thought that people would want to transfer into him just by him being there. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised. I wasn't surprised when he retired, because he kind of did the same thing with Miami. He's like, oh, I didn't get the quarterback I want. Wah, I'm quitting. You know what I mean?
I don't think those two situations are anywhere near each other.
No, but I
You're talking about like winning 6 championships at one place versus like bailing on a situation early in Miami. Like those situations are nowhere near each other. Like
I agree with that. That's 100%. But I also think he never gave it a chance. So, but I feel like that he could have been the one that created a lot of in traffic from that he'd have been able to, in essence, collect a lot of these great players, because Alabama was the spot where they were winning championships. And when you see that's the team that keeps winning, everybody wants to go there. That's why I felt like that there was such an influx into Georgia. Everybody wanted to go to Georgia because Georgia won back-to-back. It's you get the haves and the have-nots, and I think that he would have had a lot come in. But we'll never know now.
I disagree though, because it was already happening in the other direction, and you started to see a lot of older coaches get tired of all the support, because it's not about recruiting a guy to come to a winning team anymore. Like you look at the teams that some of these guys are congregating on, they're just going to the team that has the most money. Like Texas is collecting everybody. They haven't won a championship in forever. So it has nothing to do with how many championships you want. It had been a while before Ohio State won one, and they spent $20 million on a roster and went and won the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So college is not becoming about what coach do I like anymore and stuff like that. The transfer portal, like people like, Kirby at Georgia are still recruiting high school really well, and they're getting those guys to come there. But for the transfer portal, no, it's money first.
Especially with the way the portal was when he walked away, because you could transfer a few different times. And so, I mean, you also just get tired of recruiting your own guys. Like once you get them on your team, you should be able to be like, okay, cool, they're on my team. And you can like start thinking about the job that you got to do, as opposed to them being able to leave your team during parts of the season. So you do the spring game and you're still recruiting your guys. And then you get, before the season, and you got to still be recruiting your guys. And then you get to just before the playoffs, and then you're again recruiting your guys. Like that's ridiculous. So at least that part of it's gone away. But I mean, Saban walking away when it was the dumpster fire in the beginning of the NIL and all of that. I mean, it makes sense to me actually. Like if you have this storied legacy, winning tons of championships, and then you watch, it's not like it was a mystery that this was not going to go well, right? In the first few years of NIL and portal and all of that. If there was ever a time to walk away, like that would have been a good time. Be like, hey, you know what? I have all the rings, and I don't want to deal with that.
I don't blame him. I like to also point out that I did not bring up Alabama stuff, just so anybody tuning in is like, why are we having Alabama segment? I never talk Alabama on this show.
I mean, you should.
I mean, it's what you know
we
best.
talk it enough. I talk it enough on my own show, so
I mean,
I like to talk everything.
But you have a school that's going to be doing, in theory, it should be doing well in March Madness, and of course football season's year round. Like I don't know who we're lying to. Like they don't play the games year round, but football season's year round.
Oh yeah. We've already got guys covering spring practices and stuff and quarterback battles, and everyone's looking at film from guys running around in shorts, throwing stuff and going, oh, look how good he looks. So, this is our reality right now.
Yeah, and it's changing high school more than that, because now you're starting to get high school kids with NILs from college. To the tune of upwards of a couple $100,000. So, that's wild to me.
Yeah, it's already been changing in high school, because you randomly see a kid from California all of a sudden decide to go to a school in Texas and not think, okay, he was recruited, right? You don't just randomly move high schools like that. At least not when I was a kid. Now it's like, every other great player all of a sudden, he ended up in a school in Ohio all of a sudden, like, okay. And no one thinks that he was recruited or paid to go there. So, no. All of a sudden, dad has a nice new job too and stuff.
Yeah, right.
No, it's it's totally recruited at that level as well. So, no. And that's one of the things that Saban didn't like is they just blew the doors off and said, all right, everybody go get paid. And then, like you said, it wasn't intended for kids to go to 3 colleges in 3 years chasing the money. You're still supposed to be students at the heart of this, and everybody like unenrolling and enrolling, that just doesn't even seem to be a thing or a worry, And like Bo said, before this last year where they got rid of the spring portal, like they were canceling spring games because nobody wanted to show off their players on TV so other people could recruit them. And tampering is a thing that nobody actually goes after, but we, several schools, not just our school, but our schools had it where Jalen Murrow, like you just mentioned, never entered the portal, but had $1 million offers to transfer.
Yep.
Ty Simpson, same thing. And I'm only mentioning Alabama because I know those examples. It happens at other schools, and we've been accused of tampering. So it happens. And I think like Saban and like older coaches, they don't want to deal with that. They just wanted to recruit their guys and have their guys. People are already asking, hey, if this guy doesn't get playing time, do you think he'll transfer? And we haven't even started the season yet. So I can't imagine going into a season thinking I have to play this freshman X amount of games or he's going to leave. And that's what the transfer portal has caused.
Yeah. Well, and this is funny because now that they've changed the amount of games you can play to redshirt, you could potentially play even more than this. Because now you can redshirt after 9 games, which is ridiculous. Like, that's most of a season. But it's because the colleges understand that, these guys bring money in. So now if you redshirt every year after playing 8 games, it doesn't say which 8.
Be there forever.
Yeah. Right? You could just start, like, you just miss the first 4, play the rest of the season, and then college football playoff has nothing to do with the normal season. So you're there for their, playoff run. Based in that format, you could play forever.
How soon do you think it'll happen that there will be a player who wound up playing maybe 2 years in college, goes pro, and is in the pros for a few years, and then finishes out in college?
So
it's happened kind of in basketball, kind of.
G League. Yeah. So yeah. I think that's where the designation is going to happen. So I think it'll be, if you make it to the NBA, NFL, MLB, I think you're out. But if you make it to the G League, UFL, I bet you're going to see that kind of become a flexible situation. And again, solely because colleges are there to make some money.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, not for nothing, but and I'm going to use Saquon Barkley as an example. I think he played, only 3 years at Penn State. I don't know that he played all 4. It'd be odd, but after he's done with football at the NFL level, he could go back and finish at Penn State at like 34 years old, we'll say. What's to stop him?
Well,
there's nothing in the rules right now saying that he can't.
Well, so I know when the basketball case came up, they said you had a 5-year window from when you start to end. So that's one reason why we were trying to bring the guy back. So there is some kind of window there from when you start to when you finish. Because like the last guy that we had, we were just kind of referencing there, he was a G League player. And then I guess he got tired of G League and came back to want to play in college, and they gave him an injunction for 5 games. It was a mess. But the argument they used there was he was still in his 5-year window. So kind of with what you just said there, he played 2 years here, went to the draft, didn't get drafted, was in the G League, there for 2 years, and then just decided he wanted to go back to college. So I think there is a window from when you start. It's not an infinite window if you started playing. But other than that, yeah, no, they're. I mean, that's why they've got, I guess, 50 people meeting in the White House right now, trying to discuss what's going on in college football. Because we all know the more people you add to a meeting, the better it gets, right? So,
and then you think of guys like Devin Hester, who was a walk-on from the shopping mall. You know what I mean? He worked at a supermarket, and he walks on to Chicago and does all those things. Never went to college, you know. So again, he is definitely an outlier. You know what I mean? That it's rare that somebody just walks on from, you know, the supermarket and didn't spend any time in college and anything like that. But ultimately, because he never had a college career, in theory, he could decide to go to college at 34 or 30 even. You know, like he spends his time in the NFL. He was like working a job there, but he never went to college. Now he wants to go back to college. What would stop him from doing that? Because he never went to college in the first place.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be the highest level that's going to keep you out, right? Like I think any of the lower level, like AAA baseball, anything like that, I think as soon as you make it to the top level, I think is where they're going to bar you from coming back.
Yeah, once you're actually getting paid in those leagues. Now, American leagues, you know, you can go get paid overseas, like for playing basketball, and then you know, still join colleges. They're still working on that loophole. But no, I mean, you're going to see it change again in the next couple of years because the NCAA is very reactive. So we see a problem that happens a bunch. We'll try and change that one, and then we'll wait for the next one. So they won't be proactive. They won't change anything until somebody exploits it. So,
and then they'll go way overboard the wrong direction.
Yes.
Like the NCAA is the most frustrating organization to watch because you're like, okay, you know, you can finally start playing players. And they're like, cool, no guardrails, just make it happen. It's like, what? Why? Like, why would you? Nowhere in the world do you do that except the NCAA.
Yeah. So the problem with the hiring the agent, I guess you say with the NIL, like, so in the NBA, you can enter the draft, and up until like, I don't know, a month before the draft or whatever, you can withdraw from the draft process. And everyone keeps saying, hey, if you hire an agent, you can't go, but you already have an agent once you enter college now. So you can't do the whole, hey, if you have an agent, you can't come back. So I think the thing is, and the rule is, or supposed to be, if you enter the draft and stay in the draft, you don't get to go back to school, which I support. Like, make that decision. And the information's out there. It's like, you get 1 or 2% of cases where a guy thought he was going to go in the first round and doesn't, right? But for the most part, you have a great rule. Like, there's no guy that's, you know, unless you're Shedeur, I guess, thinking, hey, I'm going to go in the top 10 and then doesn't go at all, right? Those don't happen.
Well, I was going to say him specifically, obviously.
Right. But for the majority of guys, you kind of know where you're going, especially NBA wise. You know, if you're like a great first rounder or a fringe and maybe second. So
you know
the information's
what? I will
out
tell
there.
you that, and I don't mean to cut you off here, but that's happened a little bit more frequently than not now. I mean, there has been a few times that beyond Shedeur. Shedeur is like the outlier who was slated to possibly be a top 10 pick and went in the 5th round. You know, there are guys that have shown up for expecting to be drafted on day 1 and don't get drafted till day 3.
Right.
So it happens more frequently. That's because you have guys like Mel Kiper who blow guys up, and because he specifically blows them up, that guy will start getting in mock drafts.
Yep.
And every mock draft that guy gets into puts his name higher up on the list in terms of the algorithm, because it becomes an algorithm situation there. And ultimately, everybody's got him off the board because they realize that he's not that great, and it's only Mel Kiper doing the talking.
Well, I mean, Mel Kiper, like, kudos to him. He found this weird niche where he's only relevant during draft time and is wrong all the time. I mean, he is the weatherman of sports guys, right? Like, you're just up there talking. You hope it works out. Most of the time, you're only ish right. But hey, good on him. He's made a whole career out of it. It's impressive. But the amount of times you listen to his takes and you're just like, were we watching the same film? Like,
right.
And no, not everybody has a agent there, Donna. It's only going to be the top level guys that are going to be offered this NIL money that, have agents at this point. I mean, it is low level pro sports. Like that. That's really what it is. Like, they might as well just get rid of the amateurism designation on it and, just be done with it. That part of it's gone. We're inside of a decade of having 2 super conferences anyway. Just, it's pro sports. Like it just is what it is.
Without contracts. So that's my problem. Like a guy comes and signs and doesn't have to even, like, the contracts right now, to my understanding, don't even cover the playoffs. So if I get paid for my whole NIL year and decide I just don't want to go to the playoff game, I'm not returning money. I don't get that either.
So those are evolving things. So as this goes year to year, the contracts are getting more like a pro contract where they're just like, okay, and not like a pro contract for the NFL, but like a pro contract, like you're contracted to work for a company, right? They're like, these are the things that make you earn this, or your breach contract, you have to pay it back, those types of things. Now, like the guy that was here in Washington, he decides 2 days after signing that, he's like, oh, just kidding, I don't want to go there. UW was like, that's fine. We're not going to put you in the portal, and you have to give us the money back. But there's nothing that says you can't just go enroll at a different school, right? So if you want to do some legwork yourself, that other school that wanted to give you money can still give you that money. Like, you can just pull yourself out of school and then go enroll in the other school. You just don't get to do the transfer portal thing. Weirdly, you don't see kids doing that, though. They're just like, I'm in the transfer portal. And then there's like zero more effort. It's like, just go enroll at the other school. There's nothing that keeps you from doing that.
Yeah, there's been, I think, 2 people that have done it. It's the fact that we can, like, remember the exact numbers. Because I think there was a kid that from Wisconsin to Miami, and then one other. Because we actually discussed that about a month ago. That's the next loophole. Guys are just going to unenroll from their school, then go enroll the other school, and that's their way around the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, the portal, besides, there's so many people that just get stuck on the portal. Like, they always talk about, like, oh, this kid went here. They don't talk about the, like, 1,500 other kids that just didn't get a new school.
Right.
You're also
or went to somewhere or went to somewhere well below where they wanted to go.
Exactly.
So, no, it happens all the time. There'll be 1,000 kids in the portal. We'll mention 100 stories and go, this guy, and nobody says, hey, what about, where was that other group? what happened to them? Nobody talks about them. So.
No, and that's why you'll hear some of these coaches. They're like, these guys are saying, hey, I'm going to jump in the portal. And then, they go and say, yeah, we'll see if you play somewhere. Right. You're not playing here. So
good luck to you.
And a lot of them don't. A lot of them end up missing a season. So, I mean, if you were going to do it, I think I would rather take my chances at a school that offered me money and just enroll there. Because you know what you are going to get is accepted at that school. And if you don't have any of those underlying offers, because there's no tampering rules, like, people can come talk to you however much they want. So, I mean, there's still ways you can get around this thing, at least as it sits today. But I'm sure that will evolve too. So, Scott, I actually am not opposed to these college kids making money when the colleges have been making billions of dollars off of these kids. Like, I have no problem with them making some money, especially because a lot of these guys aren't going to play at the next level, right? The NFL is the 1% of the 1%. So there is a ton of these guys that are going to make some money in college that could never make money in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, they needed to have some rules.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. I just don't like the bouncing around and the, we sign a deal here. Maybe after six, games in, I'm quitting on my team, or, I don't see how it's a benefit to you to be in 3 schools in 3 years. Like, stuff like that just doesn't make sense to me.
It also doesn't get you ready for life. Like, That's the thing with school, right? Is it's supposed to get you prepared for life. There is nowhere on the planet that you are going to be signing a contract and you're just like, meh, I'm not going to do it. And they're like, okay, like that does not work. You get sued in real life. They're like, you signed a contract. We got your signature here. You're going to do it, or, we're going to see you in court.
Exactly.
So, but
I
yeah,
think it also creates a terrible college life for these athletes. First off, they're no longer one with that school in general because they are,
mercenaries.
everything's on them. So now it's like you have, and they become ultra cliquish
Sure.
and separated from the rest of, everybody in that school. Because
I mean, that would happen anyway. That would happen anyway if you're getting paid $1 million plus and you're going to school with kids that are working at a diner trying to pay their tuition.
Right. It's just it becomes ultimately this is it is what it is, and it's here now, and it's going to be like this, and it's like I said, it's trickling down all the way into, I mean, what was it? The Phillies just signed an 8th grader.
Yeah, that's so ridiculous.
It is.
But he's like got 8 different tools. You know what I mean? And he's part of that Dominican area that's, 30% of the children from there and from those schools go on to play Major League Baseball. So are they ahead of the trend? Because that's really what the world's coming to now. They're like, okay, we are projecting you to be a star, so I want to get you now. Like, imagine somebody, LeBron James was listed as the king at 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Imagine this world 22 years ago, 23 years ago. It's like somebody would have grabbed him in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's weird. Like, and you're betting on a lot of things, right? When you're signing somebody in 8th grade, like, you're looking at that as, wow, I hope you keep growing. Like, like there's, I feel like you're going to get burned on that a lot more than you'd have success.
Agreed. And of course, it's odd for me that it's the Phillies that did this because ultimately you're not seeing them go out of their way to do stuff like that. Like, I don't see, like, I don't know what went into all of the decisions to make that. However, when I did a little bit of research on it, the school that this guy's going to is a baseball school.
Okay.
So it's baseball is part of the curriculum there.
Oh, that's
he's learning math as it pertains to baseball. He's learning physics as it pertains to baseball. So I mean, it's like, and you could do all of that. It all makes great sense. I know that the Philadelphia Union do that with soccer players. That's why Kevin Sullivan, at 14 years old, got signed to go to Manchester United. You know what I mean? So when he's 18, he's going to be going to Man U because they know what type of schooling he's going to. Now, he's able to get on the pitch right now at 14, 15 years old and score goals. You know what I mean? So there's something equated to that. You had Freddie Adu, who was 13, 14 years old and good enough to play with men. Yeah. And play in the league and stuff like that. But in his case, with Freddie, it actually, I felt like he got targeted, because now you got adults that don't want to play with kids.
Yeah.
So you start to target those kids, and I don't know that it was fair to him, but it is what it is, and that's how it works. But it's interesting, and it's obviously it's not done yet. We have a lot more to go with this.
Yeah, I wonder if you could get the GM, like if you could get a soundbite from him, just explaining the rationale behind a move like that.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see this week while I'm down here at spring training, if I'd be able to get somebody to talk about it a little bit and go a little bit in depth. If there was ever a spot for me to try to do that, this would be the area to do that, and the spot to do that, and be like, hey, you guys signed this kid. How do you find all this stuff out? Obviously, you have scouts there, and
Thanks, Ron.
I have to imagine there were a number of scouts that were interested in possibly doing this. And now that the Phillies broke the mold,
Exactly.
there's going to be other teams that do this. So,
Yeah.
and I got to imagine there's not many baseball schools. You know, I don't know of many, but in the Dominican, that's the way you get out of the Dominican.
Yeah.
You
No,
play
right.
baseball.
Right.
So, or soccer. And so you have one of two ways to get out of there, in a real sense. Because listen, if the Dominican was like a rich country, they wouldn't have these issues. You know, there would be a different level. But they almost, you're praying that your child is coordinated enough and good enough to be able to do these sports because you want a better life for your child. And that's why you put them in those right positions to be able to get a situation like this, where he's, like I said, this kid is 13, 14 years old, and just got a baseball contract.
Yeah.
Donna coming to the defense. Let's go.
Yes.
But speaking of baseball, I mean, I know Mr. Alabama guy. I know that you don't have a baseball team there. But,
Well,
do you
I
watch
have, because
baseball?
of this show, I'm adopting the Braves so I can get through this summer. So we're actually even going to got a friend who's a Braves fan. She's a Braves fan. She's married to a Red Sox fan. So we are going to that series. So my wife and I had to decide who we were going to support. Now it's going to be a mismatch. I'm going to support the wife because I'm going to wear Brave stuff because for the show. And I think the day I announced it, or right after, the very first thing somebody sent me was, oh, hey, guess what? Your DH just got suspended for the year. It's like, wow, I've been a Braves fan for like 5 minutes, and it's already tragedy. That's great. Great start.
I like that you were like, yeah, I'm going to support him through the summer. So they're already out of the playoffs then.
You know, well, by the time football season comes around, and I will say this with baseball, I do feel like the season should end before football really gets going. I just think that's a little too much fighting in the playoffs with what football has got going on. As a non-really baseball person,
I understand that. I love October baseball. You know, that's really where baseball gets. You know, it's for the layman fan of baseball. Baseball is a boring game. It's boring to watch. It's boring to sit there and do everything. And the fact that I get to go to 80 games a season, doing what I do, makes it more fun for me because I get to interact with the fans. I get to see it on a daily basis. I get to go to some of the road games, and I get to just interact in general with the sport itself. And that's what makes this a lot of fun. That being said, if you're not a baseball fan, it's hard to get into baseball in general.
See, on the other side, if you happen to be a baseball fan of a team like the Mariners, you never have to feel conflicted in October because they're generally fun. You just get to step right into football.
Not last year.
Not last year, but that's why I said generally. I mean, MLB even felt bad at one time, and they gave us our last regular season game on like the 2nd of October. They're like, hey, it hasn't been so long. We got an October game, you know?
And hey, listen, and I'm a firm believer winning begets winning.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you have a team, and the Phillies kind of did the same thing too. It was like Phillies in 22. I think they're the ones that catapulted the Eagles because the energy transferred. You know, and it's like, hey, you're excited about the baseball. All of a sudden, we're in the playoffs, and next thing you know, we're in the NLCS. We're in the World Series. At that time, the Eagles were 7-0. You know what I mean? And it was just like it just all of the energy kind of transferred from one to the other. Now we lost the World Series, and then a few months later, we lost the Super Bowl, and that's when I was slated as the one who killed the dinosaurs too, because I was the reason why that meteor came and hit the Earth, because I'm a mush, you know what I mean? But that's not true anymore because I have been to a winning Super Bowl. And,
yeah, there you go.
I've been to more wins than losses, and my teams have been great.
That stuff was hilarious, though. Like that was probably the funniest, like just random. You're the reason COVID happened and you killed the dinosaurs. Like, wow.
All because I paint my face. Yeah.
That's why that hater show was funny. Like that. It's the thing that's funny about. So the first year we had this hater show, we did it on April Fool's Day. And so that only seemed right. But weirdly, like we get less hate as this has gone on. And, because we were talking about after we did that one, we were like, oh, that was actually really entertaining. We should do it again. And then we just haven't had that same kind of hate to really do that show again. No. And in fact, like, and the biggest of the haters of me came on the show. Yeah. Just to let you know, Herb. And it really was. I'm here every day. Like, I don't know. It really was hysterical. And he had his points about it and such like that. And I tell you, his friends to this day, still, when they see me, they have me record a video and send it to him. On how here I am still. You got to see my face some more. And he's, still a hater. Yeah. No, I mean, I have someone that's on my channel that, and I love it because they help you get paid. But it was hilarious because they will thumbs down every single video. First off, I want that kind of free time. Yes, But it is really funny. They never comment, but it's a thumbs down on every video I put out, which is hilarious to me.
That's wild. Yeah.
I still makes me wonder, are they watching? Are they watching it? Are they watching all these videos? And I mean, you have to watch it long enough to thumbs down it because you have to go into it, right? Like you don't get that option until you click on it. So, I mean, if nothing else, you get the view. Even if you don't get watch hours, you get the view for it. Yeah. Like, I mean, first off, I don't know what I did to make you that mad. That's probably Chris. I want to know. Probably is Chris. I want to know just for personal entertainment value.
Right. Say something.
Just because I know you're watching, so I twist that knife a little bit. But but at the
just
same
to give
time,
you an idea,
how do you have that much free time to just sit there and like go through someone's YouTube, especially with the amount of content that I put out?
And just to give you an idea, Herb, Chris was a religious watcher of our show, and he would bring up anything that was bad. Anybody who just passed away, anybody who just got arrested, anybody who just anything that could possibly be morbid, he would bring up and want us to talk about right at the very beginning of the show. And,
or it'd be like in the middle of a conversation. So, and Brad, I know you're in here today. when you drop stuff in the middle of us talking about something else, I'm not going to bring it on the show, man. Like,
Right.
I'll wait till we hit that topic.
Right. But we have several people do that. So, like, let's say you were doing, like, I don't know, an Alabama segment and somebody brought up, like, I don't know, the kick six from over 10 years ago. You would call that person a hater? Is that how, just so I just want to understand, you're saying that's the kind of thing that Scott would do, right?
No,
Is
because they don't leave a comment, it's just the thumbs down. So, because if they leave a comment, you know who they are. If you leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you don't know who they are.
Right.
And that's not a hater. That's just somebody who is expressing just knowledge of Alabama football
From 10 years ago. Right. Okay.
Yeah, listen,
Okay.
But I was just letting you know that I understand some of the history of Alabama football.
I like that you were probably before the show Googling how to stick it to a Bama guy.
Yeah. That's why he was off camera for a while. He was like, let me go over here to do this so he doesn't see me giggling. Like, And here's what I do. I won't call that play by name. I'll just describe it.
You're right.
So, to drag out.
Does the play have a name?
Yeah.
Oh, the kick six.
Oh, you didn't get that far in the article?
And listen, I'm only going by my memory. I all did this by straight memory.
Yeah.
That's funny. He's like, I wasn't alive back then. What do you like?
The look on your face when I said it, you're like, wait, what?
That's because we got him on an NIL deal in 8th grade. So it makes sense he wasn't alive yet. Man.
But to get back to a topic, what I really wanted to talk about was a little bit of the World Baseball Classic. And does it look like any other teams are going to be in it other than the USA and Japan?
Sorry, say that again?
Any other teams in it besides Japan?
And USA. And USA.
Man, not really.
Yeah.
They just said those teams look so stacked.
Yeah.
And, it's funny. As I was flying down to Clearwater, I was sitting next to a kid who had a Dodgers hat on. And I poked a little fun and I'm like, I don't like that hat very much of yours. And, it's blah, blah, blah. And then he realized that I was the Philly sports guy. And it was kind of funny because the pilot also announced that I was on the plane. I'm like, oh, great. This is awesome. And I'm in the middle seat. But and he was talking about he's not a Dodgers fan. He's just an Ohtani fan. And the kid was Asian, so I understood. And I'm like, hey, Ohtani just hit a grand slam, and they had a 9-run second inning where Ohtani he was a triple away from the cycle in the second inning. So it was like, wow, okay, he'd already had 3 at-bats, and, he got a home run, a double, a grand slam, a double, and a single all in the second inning. By the second inning. So yeah, it was a little nuts to think about it like that. He never did get the cycle, but that was against China. China also has a good baseball team. When you think about the Little League World Series and you think about who comes out from that side, typically it's Japan or China. They usually have the infrastructure to be able to have the Little League World Series, and they have the best players there. So you suspect that continues to grow. Well, right now, Japan is eclipsing them in terms of.
It's the way you phrase that, because there's been some teams that looked good, but Japan and the U.S. just look like they're at a different level.
Right.
Correct.
But there's been some good play. Like, it's not like everybody else, you're just like, oh, they shouldn't be playing baseball. Like, there's been some good games. They just don't look like it looks like this is a 2-team race. And, they'll have to battle out for third.
Great Britain, I don't suspect has a great baseball team. This isn't cricket. So, and they had to put together a team of Americans who didn't get chosen by Team USA and say, hey, you have a name that's kind of English. Would you play on our team? Aaron Nola, whose last name is Nola, who has zero bit of Italian in him, is playing on Team Italy
Sure.
because his name kind of sounds Italian. You know what I mean? And
He's
I'm like,
loosely related to somebody.
Yeah.
and listen, I'm Italian, so great. Aaron beat everybody. You know what I mean? Like I said, I would love to see Italy make it to the quarterfinals, even because Italy's not known for their baseball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I got to imagine that anybody with an Italian last name could play on that team. And in the 80s, it probably would have been a much better team than it is now. You had Ken
If that's the
Caminiti.
case, I could play for it. So to talk some football before we get out of here today, probably the biggest move over the weekend is not Tua. It's Crosby. Crosby to Baltimore is pretty amazing. But if you're Burrow, you have the 28th ranked offensive line. You have these three dudes trying to get you a couple times a year. I think this is the year that he ends up on IR for 2 years in a row.
Yes. If I'm Burrow, I consider going down at the first hit anyway. Oh, done. It was just touch. Done. No, not doing this for the rest of the day. So, yeah.
It's interesting. I have heard some rumors rumbling about Myles Garrett again.
Interesting.
That Cleveland, obviously they just changed Deshaun Watson's contract and freed up $48 million. And I've heard rumors and rumblings that the Eagles and Browns are discussing possible one-for-one trades. Now, there's very few one-for-one trades that make sense with the Browns, short of Myles Garrett, and I guess you could say A.J. Brown. You could also possibly say Jalen Carter. And because the Eagles just signed Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis right now is the highest paid defensive lineman to ever play the game at the moment. That'll change next week when somebody else gets signed.
Right.
But for this moment in time, he's the highest paid. And they also put on that same note that Jalen Carter is possibly on the block. Now, I don't know if that's coming from the Eagles.
Right.
I know a little bit deeper inside that locker room that they're hoping that Jalen Carter does turn it around, that he had an off season last year, that there were some outlying issues that was created by Jalen, and that he hopes that they're hoping that the contract that Jordan just signed brings Jalen Carter back around again to see what's possible. But that being said, the fact that I heard about Myles Garrett for Jalen Carter as potential trade, where the Eagles would take on all of the financial responsibility, is an interesting trade. And then that would take
The
one of
Browns
those
doing
guys
it
away
just to
from
get
Burrow.
off the money. Like, I don't get, what are we doing for the Browns?
I mean, they restructured Deshaun again. So, I mean, they're trying to move money around, but I'd be surprised if they get rid of him, honestly.
I think it's a little bit far-fetched. I agree.
Yeah.
But what it's coming down to is that the rebuild of Cleveland, that if they're taking it seriously, they have no need for Myles Garrett at the moment.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
And if there was the ability to get rid of him, because it is a lot of money and you have to take on a big financial responsibility with that, you get a lot with him, obviously. If there was any team that was able to work the capology well enough to be able to accept him in, especially now that they've signed Jordan Davis, I think it's the Eagles that could make that happen.
Right. I'm just saying, if I'm Cleveland, I'm getting picks. I've got to have some other stuff attached to it. If I'm doing a rebuild, I don't need a player. Yeah. I need more draft capital.
Except the Browns have just messed that up. But
they're going to mess it up. Yeah, I mean, that's a given. But I at least want the chance to mess it up.
Yeah, but you can't. It doesn't equate. You can't take on $160 million and give up a first-round pick for that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So because you're taking on the money, he's only got a value of, even with as many sacks as he has, he's only got a value of a second or a third-round pick because the money is so severe.
Right.
And that's the difference.
But if I was going to trade Myles Garrett, I would like announce it and just see what offers I get out there versus going with like a 1-for-1. You know, it's kind of like when the Lakers traded Luka and honed in on one team and didn't get a whole stat. I just feel like somewhere in there, despite the money. So, and I haven't looked at all the numbers or whatever, but I feel like there's a better deal out there if you're the Browns, especially if you really are.
You got time. You got time because you still have post draft, and I mean there's plenty of time to have something come to you. That being said, that does get us to the top of the show. If you've been watching here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening on ICU Radio 97.3, we do have some smooth jazz headed your way coming up next. Otherwise, we will see you all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.